Welcome back to the Church, the Cardinal and You. Joining us now is the Vicar General of the Archdiocese of Chicago, Monsignor John Canary. We often equate strategic plans with budgets and business decisions, but the Archdiocese, Monsignor, is undertaking a pastoral plan, taking a pastoral approach to the coming 5 years. Let's begin by talking about how this came about. What was the genesis of this idea?
Actually, Cardinal George, about 2 years ago, had mentioned that when he came to Chicago, he was handed a pastoral plan at that time, and he said he found it very helpful for his own kind of focus of priorities, but also understanding the diocese a little bit better. So he asked us if we would revisit that plan and see if we could develop a new plan, both for the last 3 years or so in his time here, but also in preparation for a transition for a new bishop. That's what he asked us to do.
Yeah. Could you tell us briefly just some of the procedures that you went through in pulling the ideas together?
So there was a steering committee of 24 people, and they were representative of different constituencies in the Archdiocese. We had some priests on the panel. We had, I think, 5 lay people on the panel. There were people from the Archdiocesan Pastoral Council, the Presbyteral Council. We had 1 bishop. We had different pastors from different regions in the area. And what we initially did was, as a large group, we just brainstormed ourselves and came up with all kinds of suggestions. Then we sent that information out to all of our pastors, to the permanent deacons, to our school principals, to our directors of religious education, to all of our pastoral associates, to our business managers, and we asked for feedback. We got several hundred responses from that. And out of those responses, we developed 5 themes. It wasn't the plan itself, but there were 5 themes that people kept coming back to.
Why don't you tell us what those were?
Sure. People had interest in exploring further the whole area of evangelization, and then adult formation in their faith, and then the area of vocations, and then the area of finances, and then the area of social concerns, social issues, especially racial justice and the immigration issue. So we took that information and we decided we would do a more extensive survey of the people themselves. So last Easter, on Easter Sunday, we announced at the parishes that there was an online survey. And we did it on Easter because we wanted not only the people who came every Sunday to Mass, but even those that only came occasionally, especially on Easter. And the hope was to get about 500 responses. The survey was online for 10 days, and we got 8,500 responses.
Not exactly what you were expecting, I bet.
Not at all. And we could tell from the questionnaire that it was pretty well distributed throughout the diocese. People indicated their zip code. They indicated their age, so there was a very fine age spread. They also indicated their ethnic backgrounds, so that was well distributed as well.
Why do you think there was such strong interest reflected in that large response?
I think because still the Church is very important in people's lives, and they were given an opportunity to express themselves what their concerns were and what they felt the Church needed to concentrate on. So we got some very extensive responses. We also were very fortunate. The McKinsey Consulting Group gave us 5 people full-time for about 5 weeks to analyze all this material. And they helped us move toward a prioritization of the material itself.
What were the needs that people were pointing to? Where are the deficits? Where are the areas of concern for the folks in the pew?
Well, one very interesting thing was how important it was for people to reach out to our young people. And that is backed up by research as well, that the teenage years and the young adult years are very important long-term for people's participation in the life of the Church. In fact, the people who have left the Church and never come back, which is about 30% of our Catholics, they leave by age 24. But the other thing that was very interesting was the only common denominator for people who are still practicing their faith, and we had 18 different variables. The only common denominator was that as teenagers, they went to Sunday Mass. So that was one piece of information, how important those early years are.
And it really underscores the value of our Catholic high schools and campus ministry efforts at the universities.
Very much, the outreach to the young people, and how formative those years really are. Another very interesting thing for the Catholics who are still coming to church on Sunday, but also those who only come occasionally, it is very important for them to have their children receive the sacraments. And an interesting piece of information from both groups was they wanted their children to receive the sacraments, but they themselves didn't feel well prepared to help their children better understand the sacramental life of the church. So there was a request for more formation on their part as well.
So this is a 5-year plan. Monsignor, talk about each of the years and how each will address various aspects of the overall plan.
The first year, because of that information that I spoke about, we are dedicating to the teenage and young adult people in the church, and those who are drifting from the church, to try and reach them in different ways. So the first year is the year of the teens and young adult. The second year, we decided it was terribly important to again emphasize the importance of the Eucharist. So the second year is the year for Sunday Mass. And then the third year is to reach out to parents of children receiving the sacraments to help them grow in their own faith as well as prepare their young people for the sacraments. The fourth year is the year of the sacraments themselves, the sacramental life of the church, and then the church as sacrament in our world. And then really the fifth year is not only recapping all that, but actually across all 4 years and into the fifth year is looking at our financial future. How do we solidify our own financial future to serve the many populations that the church reaches out to?
Now, will each of these years consist of a large diocesan effort, or will the efforts be more localized in the parishes?
Mostly localized in the parishes. Because of the diversity of our diocese, we didn't think that any uniform program in each one of these areas would actually be easily adapted to the parishes. So we picked the themes instead, and then, like what we did with Catholics Come Home, there will be a local representative group in each parish working with some diocesan resource people to implement the theme at the local level.
And what kinds of resources will the Archdiocese make available to help the parishes?
I think two primary things. We're going to try to develop a list of best practices or what really works in these various areas, both from experience of other parishes and also some research that has been done in each of these areas. And then secondly, we are going to sponsor some diocesan events to support the work that is being done in the parishes.
Well, Monsignor, it sounds like a truly well thought out and ambitious plan. God bless you and best of luck in the implementation.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Good to be with you.
Our viewers can get all the details of the Strategic Pastoral Plan at our website, www.archchicago.org. I'll be back in a moment with a look at events from around the Archdiocese. Don't go away.